thing looks and smells brand new.
Perfect.
Everything. I mean,
Yep.
the ARV in my world is this house could be in Southern Living magazine. All right.
Love it.
All exterior, interior. Anyway, so I closed on this house right here on Arundel Street in Morehead City last week. The after repaired value, $550,000.
Perfect. 550.
I bought it for $325,000.
Okay.
And so the first question we may ask is, how do you buy an after repaired value house at $550,000 for $325,000? Well, first of all,
Yep.
all these properties are distressed to some degree, right? And need at least some fix up. So, but secondly, this was an inherited property, and the person that inherited the property lives 3 hours away and has no personal emotional connection to this property at all. So they just want to cash out and be done. And so the actual rehab on this property is right at $50,000. So this is not a big, huge, rehab. So I could have borrowed more money than I intended. I mean, than I did, but bought it for $325,000. So we're looking at 50. It always costs more, right? And you got closing costs and all that stuff. So I only borrowed $400,000 from my private lender. And so when I rehab this house, then there's going to be, that's a big equity right there between what you borrowed at $400 and you're going to sell it for $550. Now,
so you're borrowing under 75%. So between 70 and 75% of the after repaired value.
That's right. Now, if you are a private lender, you better know your borrower very well. I mean, there's a 5-letter word in this relationship that starts with a T, and that's called trust. So, if you're lending the money, you want to be passive. You don't want to oversee deals. You don't want to negotiate deals. You just want to sit back and collect your checks, right?
But you should be active on understanding who you're lending to and what type of deals they are, right?
Absolutely. And so when I bought this house for $325,000, well, I came home with a $75,000 check. That's called excess cash to close, right? Well, this private lender, now let's say I lost my mind and I went to the Caribbean, right? And I didn't do a deed in lieu, of foreclosure, and suddenly my lender has got to foreclose on me because I've skipped town or whatever. Well, look at. So of course they don't want to mess with it. Look how they're protected. Because one question that comes to mind, look, what if you skip town and take that $75,000 and you don't rehab the house?
Yeah.
Good question. So how is the lender protected? That's why we do the conservative loan to value. This lender would get a property that they loan $400,000 on, and the after repair value is $550,000. There's still $150,000 spread, and they could sell the house as is and not even touch it. I mean, for goodness sakes, you put the house on the market at $400,000 in the multiple listeners, it just flew off the shelf because there's 150 spread between what was loaned and what it would be worth if it was fixed up with the $50,000 in rehab. So that's the question. How am I protected as a lender, as a private lender? Well, I'll just name our private lenders on the insurance policy as a mortgagee, just like a bank. And we name them on the title policy as an insured. Again, how they protected that conservative loan to value. And we're not borrowing unsecured money. They're going to get their own promissory note, their own trust, collateralizing that note.
Yep. Love that. Yeah. So again, even when you find somebody that has experience in this business, you still need to understand how you can protect yourself and do that. And Jay, typically, how long are lenders lending their money out between that period and getting it back? About how long? What's the typical loan duration?
The length of it is 2 years. Even though I'm probably not going to use it for 2 years. So we do the notes for 2 years. And what I have with my 47 private lenders, when I go to cash out, which typically, like in this market, I may buy, like this house that I bought. House may sit there for 2 or 3 months before one of my contractors can get to it. Right?
Gotcha.
Rehab may take 3 months once the rehab starts. So now we're already into it for 6 months. You put it on the market, maybe it's another 45 days. So typically we're going to in that maybe 9-month period, cash out type of thing. So that's what the length is.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so you're baking in, so on both sides. So you're baking in for the lender, they're getting equity baked in. They have their protections, but you're also baking in additional time. So if your contractor can't get to it, if it sits on the market for a little bit longer period of time, if it takes longer